Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Su-30MK2 AMV. This fighter is currently 13.3 BR in Air RB and 12.3 BR in Ground RB, as well as being a Rank 8 premium aircraft in the Russian Air Force's tech tree, though of course it flies under the Venezuelan flag. The pack that it comes in currently costs $79.99 USD when not on sale, and comes with both 30 days of premium time and 3,000 golden eagles. With that said, in this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this fighter, including its stats, how it plays, I'll go over its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give it some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel that this vehicle is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing, but without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I'll place the stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its armament, its countermeasure count and type, as well as its performance. Now for how it plays. The Su-30MK AMV is very similar to the Su-27SM, but is a two-seater, can carry 2 fewer ARH missiles, has lesser performance, but can carry a much larger and more versatile close air support loadout. In short, this all means that the Su-30MK2 AMV is an all-around beast that can handle both air and ground very capably. For air battles, it carries up to 6 RVV AE ARH missiles, of which are just export versions of the R-77, and up to 4 or 6 R-73Es, though having 6 would mean that you'd have to take away 2 RVV AEs, which in my opinion is silly. This means that the AMV can carry up to 10 missiles, which is pretty good for this BR, and can even carry R-27ER and ET missiles, though carrying those in lieu of the RVVs just doesn't make much sense to me. Regardless, this all means that the AMV has plenty of firepower to bring to any air battle, with the ability to shoot down numerous enemy aircraft quickly and easily. Depending on how you look at it, this is all aided or hurt by the N001 VEP radar, which targets enemies fairly well in my experience, but can lose track of them somewhat easily when facing ground clutter. This issue aside, the combined weapons and tech suite of the AMV is downright fantastic, and it also has IRST. Mix in very good, though not necessarily amazing performance, and you have a plane that can also dogfight. While the total of 96 countermeasures may seem a bit low at this BR, once you factor in that they're the more effective large countermeasures, this number becomes a bit easier to bear. Oh, and finally, the icing on top of all of this is that the helmet-mounted display will allow you to aim your missiles off bore sight, as well as radar lock off bore sight. This gives you a tremendous advantage and allows for you to pick out specific enemies much more easily and accurately than without said display. Now for close air support, the Su-30MK2 AMV might somehow even be better. This is due to its incredibly large payload filled with diverse and powerful weapons, of which are headlined by the TV-guided KH-59ME cruise missiles, yes, you heard that right, cruise missiles, KH-29TD AGMs, and KAB-1500KRs. The KH-29MEs have an in-game range of 120 kilometers and a 190 kilogram warhead, both figures of which are absolutely crazy. The KH-29TDs are a bit more traditional, however, and are still excellent anti-tank weapons in their own right and function kinda like Russian AGM-65s. Then you have the gigantic 1500 kilogram KAB-1500KR TV-guided bombs, which are also potent, as well as some smaller variants of TV-guided bombs. Mix in laser-guided munitions, as well as dumb bombs and rockets, and you have arguably the best EAS loadout in game for a premium. The only downside here, and it can be a big downside depending on how you look at it, is that the AMV currently lacks a targeting pod, which means that you will not be able to take full advantage of the insanely long range provided by the KH-59MEs, or even close to the full range of the KH-29s. This means that you have to utilize the onboard targeting, which really only allows out to around 10 to 12 kilometers of locking range at best. Mix in that you do not have any IR guided weapons, and the occasional night battle is also going to be a bit more difficult too. If nothing else, the KH-59MEs don't need a lock on to fire, which allows for you to lock onto a general area and then fire without gaining an enemy vehicle lock, which in turn may allow you to fire at a general vicinity from essentially your airfield, so long as you don't mind lacking again a target lock. Still, this may allow for you to take out immobile enemy SPAA, or get lucky with enemy tanks that are sitting still, especially due to its nearly 200 kilogram warhead size. Now with all that said, let's get to its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths, as a helmet-mounted display. Second, it can carry up to 10 missiles, with 6 of them being Fox 3 RVV AEs, of which again are just export R-77s, weapons, and 4 of them being very good close-range R-73Es. For its third strength, it has an absolutely gigantic anti-ground ordnance payload with ordnance that can guide itself to the enemy from a relatively long range. Fourth, while it isn't a ton of countermeasures, the AMV can still carry a fair amount of large countermeasures with 96 in total. This is somewhat offset by the increased effectiveness of large countermeasures compared to regular countermeasures. For its fifth strength, it has a pretty good, overall at least, N001 VEP radar. 6. It features IRST. For its seventh strength, it has a powerful 30mm cannon that can easily tear up both air and ground targets. 8th, it has very good overall performance in terms of speed and acceleration. 9th, this vehicle has surprisingly good maneuverability, though it isn't quite on par with lighter aircraft like the F-16, MiG-29, and FA-18. And finally, of course, it has premium RP and SL bonuses. Now for its weaknesses. First, while cannons have limited usefulness at this BR due to the typical engagement range, it still only has 150 rounds in total, which is fairly small. Second, the AMV is a very large plane, making it somewhat easier to track and hit compared to smaller aircraft. For its third weakness, while the N001 VEP radar is overall fairly good, especially in terms of range and target acquisition, it still has a relatively difficult time maintaining lock, at least in my experience, and especially against ground clutter. And finally, while you have arguably one of the most devastating CAS capabilities in-game, the AMV currently lacks a targeting pod, forcing it to rely on the plane's onboard targeting systems. This significantly hamstrings the range usefulness of the weapons on this vehicle, making it so that the 120km range on the KH-59MEs is only targetable within around 15 kilometers at best, unless you're launching onto a non-moving target like an SPAA or just a general piece of ground. Now with all that said, let's get into how I score this vehicle, and first for Air RB, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Put simply, the power crunch is so tight at this BR that air battles are basically about who has the best missile and radar combination. Because you have the very good though not amazing R77 export variant, as well as a few close-range R73s and a good radar, the AMV actually does quite well. While the AMV can be quite good, even amazing in many situations, it still doesn't have the best radar to maintain lock versus enemy aircraft, which again will hurt it in air battles. Once BRs become a bit decompressed in the future, I feel that the AMV will be slightly better relative to other aircraft, but it's still fantastic even now, so take that as you will. Now for close air support, I give it a 7.75 out of 10. If the AMV had a targeting pod that had good long range capability, not only would it be probably 9 out of 10 or better in terms of CAS, but it would probably be completely broken in game. Heck, throw in IR guided weapons and this vehicle might be nearly perfect for close air support. Regardless, even without the targeting pod and IR guided weapons, the AMV still has arguably the most comprehensive and deadly weapons fitted to any premium currently in War Thunder. The cruise missiles, TV guided AGMs, and so many more weapons are ridiculously good and make the Su-30MK2 AMV a joy to fly for CAS and a terror to fight against. Now overall, I give this plane a 7.75 out of 10. This might be my highest score for top tier premiums I've ever given. The Su-30MK2 AMV is arguably the best premium currently in War Thunder, and I feel that this score represents that. If not for mildly troublesome radar and the lack of a targeting pod, the AMV would probably be an 8.5 out of 10 or even higher overall. It's simply that good. Now with all that said, do I recommend the purchase of the Su-30MK2 AMV? Yes, even above similar BR premium aircraft, at least so long as you do not mind the price. Personally, I'd wait for a sale, but that's just me. Either way, the Su-30MK2 AMV is immediately the most capable premium aircraft in War Thunder, regardless of game mode, and can essentially play however you want. If not for lackluster targeting and tracking apparatuses, the AMV would be damn near perfect at its BR, at least for now before we start getting even more insanely good vehicles to challenge it. Still, even when those newer vehicles and weapons roll out, I have a feeling that the AMV will still be able to hold its own. Between its ability to carry good Fox 3s, KH-59ME cruise missiles, and even gigantic 1500 kilogram TV guided bombs, the Su-30MK2 AMV is possibly the new most versatile premium in War Thunder and will feel at home regardless of the game mode and your gameplay preferences. Because of this, I fully recommend the Su-30 Su-30MK2 AMV for purchase and give it my Tankenstein seal of approval. If you don't mind coughing up the dough, and so long as this plane doesn't somehow get nerfed to hell, you will have a trusty and capable do-it-all aircraft in the Su-30MK2 AMV. Now with all that said, thank you so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video as well as commenting on it and subscribing to my channel. Let me know what you guys think about the Su-30MK2 AMV and of this video in the comments below. Either way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.